Today's top stories at NBR, the RNZ-TVNZ merger to go ahead. Both National and ACT believe the government can take pressure off inflation. Australian bus network Kinetic assumes the driver's seat. And there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, 100% subscriber funded and proudly brought to you by you, as is every story at nbr.co.nz. It's Thursday, March 10th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks again for joining us. Childcare centre operators, retirement village developers and NBR listers The Wright family are the new owners of the troubled Stubbs Farm development site near Warkworth. The prior owner of the 40-hectare site, Warkworth Holdings, went into receivership and liquidation in September, owing $47 million to New York-based financier Arena Investors. In partnership with Arena, the Wrights have bought the land from the receivers for $52 million. The new partners have also purchased an adjacent property, Middle Hill, and on the total 70-hectare site plan to develop 1,000 to 1,200 homes. They may also develop a retirement village on the site. Overseer of the project, Wayne Wright Jr. said. RNZ and TVNZ will not be smashed together, as some have feared, but the two vastly different organisations will be contained together within a new public media entity, the Minister of Broadcasting, Chris Farfoy, said today, Thursday. The autonomous Crown entity would be ideally operational by July 1st, 2023.
What is constant is that New Zealand's public media is trusted and strong and has served us extremely well over the decades. Despite that, we need to ensure Kiwis can continue to rely on that trust and strength as they continue to rapidly change the ways that they watch, they listen and they read.
Minister of Broadcasting Chris Farfoy. Blackbird Aotearoa is hoping to raise a second fund dedicated to New Zealand tech founders following a promising performance from its first fund's investments and growth in demand. The local arm of Blackbird, one of Australia's biggest venture capital funds, raised its first New Zealand-only fund of $59 million in 2019. That included a $21.5 million contribution from the government-backed Elevate Fund. NZ Principal Phoebe Harrop joined NBR co-editor Fiona Rotherham.
The role of institutional funders, including government funds, are really important to shore up the kind of meaningful fund sizes that allow us to do our work in a community-led way. So, yes, we will be looking to explore a range of institutional investment partners.
Blackbird Aotearoa Principal Phoebe Harrop with Fiona Rotherham there. Both National and ACT believe the government can take some pressure off inflation by reining in its own spending. National's finance spokesperson Simon Bridges said that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the government had spent more per capita on providing economic support than any other country apart from the United States. He joined NBR political editor Brent Edwards.
There is a need for discipline and restraint and really coming back to a basic thing, which is quality and investment rather than just spending for the sake of it.
Simon Bridges. And ACT leader David Seymour is also calling for spending restraint.
If you go back to Milton Friedman, pretty standard stuff. Inflation is too much money chasing after too few goods. So you've got the too much money, with 60 billion of printing through various schemes, artificially low OCR. I would argue they kept it lower than they should have for most of the last 2 years. And that has created too much money.
ACT leader David Seymour and before him National's finance spokesperson Simon Bridges with the NBR's Brent Edwards. Australian bus network Kinetic has assumed the driver's seat in Next Capital's potential sale of NZ Bus, with the price estimated at just under $400 million. First round bids were due last week and final bids submitted on Monday this week, according to a source close to the deal. Kinetic, which is owned by Canadian pension fund OP Trust, is in exclusive negotiations to acquire NZ Bus, the source confirmed. ASX-listed Kelson Group has been in the running, and Pacific Equity Partners had also shown interest, but KKR, which recently acquired Ritchie's in New Zealand, had not. NZ Bus operates a fleet of 780 buses from 11 depots, underpinned by long-term contracts in Auckland, Wellington and the Bay of Plenty, and employs approximately 1,700 people. NZX-listed property fund Asset Plus has opted against paying a fourth quarter dividend to buffer itself from changes to tenant leasing behaviours due to the pandemic. The Centuria managed fund announced a third quarter dividend of 0.294 cents a share this morning, Thursday morning, but warned investors it would be its last of the financial year and that it was reviewing its dividend policy. Speaking to NBR while riding the length of New Zealand to raise funds for mental health and prostate cancer charities, Asset Plus Chair Bruce Cotterill admitted COVID was a bit of a curveball in the short term. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, in her weekly column, Rachel Smalley with what New Zealand can do for the victims of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I'm Paul Brennan. Join me again from around lunchtime tomorrow for the morning's NBR trending stories. Then again from 5:30 tomorrow and through the weekend for another NBR This Week.